Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Stefano Manservisi. I'm at present the chair of this Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund, which is a fund financing action at grassroots level to prevent violent extremism and radicalization. Not necessarily linked immediately to our discussion today, but I have been working for years also for the European Union, in particular in development and in particular supporting projects like those that we will discuss today. So therefore, welcome and very happy to be with you. My role will be just to organize a sound debate in order that each of you will contribute to this challenge. You know, I mean, the subject, which is women as catalysts for agricultural resilience, is quite comprehensive. And it has impact to food security, climate change, sustainability at large, empowerment of women, and, cohesion of the society at the end of the day. So therefore, it's a global, but the important is that the 6 projects are each of them contributing from an angle. 6 projects, 6 angles, different countries, different experiences. So therefore, I think that what I would like to do is to facilitate your expression in order that each of you can contribute in explaining, what is not only your experience, your organization, what is the profile of the project, but also what, is your contribution to this global theme, which is women as a catalyst, precisely. And catalyst is, let's say, a concept which is let's say, not only to increase the presence of women, but also to show that through the presence of women and the women leadership, you do it better. You do it better in terms of sustainability. You do it better in terms of competitiveness. You do it better in terms of quality of output, which is contributing at the end of the day to have, let's say, not only a more cohesive society, not a better situation for women, but a better situation for everybody. I think that this is, I would like to organize things in this way in order that each of you, in presenting, is also contributing to this sort of general concept that we'll try to wrap up at the end, in order to say, look, these 6 experiences are showing this. If you agree, and then I would like simply to ask you to, in your intervention, to remain within the 5 minutes, because then we will have the time for another round, as much as possible, and even equally important at the end to have some room for some question and answer, because there are many people which are interested to all that. If you agree, we can start, right now, and I would like maybe to start with Alina and the project on fisheries, which is particularly important because it covers an area which is quite far away. Second, it offers access to food, sustainable food. At the same time, it creates an economic framework. So, therefore, I would like to pass the floor to Alina to introduce the organization and also to, let's say, explain the project and the contribution of the project to this general issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stefano, and thanks to the PPF for inviting us to share our experience. I work with a non-profit organization. I'm actually a co-founder of that organization, and it's called Media Matters for Women. Interestingly, it's a media-focused organization, but we ended up doing fish farming. So you can understand that spreading information is important, and also listening to the people you give the information to, so that we ended up providing or solving some of the problems that they face. So how we work at MMW is we have 3 core journalists who produce podcasts in the local languages on issues that has to do with women's issues, education, health, as the case may be. And then we created listening centers across our areas of operation in the northwestern part of Sierra Leone, in the northern region of Sierra Leone, and also in the eastern region. And these listening centers are governed by a focal person. And the focal person manages who we call youth advocates and town criers. We introduced the town criers because we find that their role is very important in reaching last mile communities, because they are anchored in these rural communities. So once our podcasts are produced, these we call them food soldiers. They take our podcast, go out in the communities, play this podcast, have the women listen to the messages, and then create a kind of dialogue. So whilst they listen to the podcast, they bring about issues, and we are sensitive enough to understand what are the limitations these women face in their communities. So this is where our fish farm project was born. So in one of a very remote community in the northwestern region of Sierra Leone, it's called Kamalenka. It has very bad roads, no school, no electricity, no hospital, nothing. So the women they walk like 5 miles to access hospital services. They walk, to school and their kids. So most of them engage in crop farming. And when we listen to their concerns, we realize that fish, it's not something, it's not a luxury, because getting to the market is difficult, let alone having money to buy fish. It's expensive. So we thought of, okay, adding to that, the food insecurity and all of that, so contribute to protein diet for these people. So what we did is get 35 of them together, 10 men and 25 women. We trained them in fish farming. So we had them construct a fish pond. We taught them how to manage the fish pond, how to stock the fish, take care of the pond generally. And now they have fish in their community that they feed from. And also the community has benefited from the knowledge, and also they are thinking of ways that they can commercialize the fish that will lead to economic security. So once they have that source of income added to what they get from their crop farming, it will put them in a position where they'll be economically empowered, they have the knowledge, and they're able to take care of all the issues with respect of their sending their children to school, attending to their medical bills and things like that. So on a whole, this is what we do with this project. And at the same time, we are empowering the women to gain knowledge, to be aware through our listening centers, through our podcast, and through the training and engagement we get with them to understand what they are going through, and at the same time, understand what happens at national level and a global level on a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alina. This is a very important angle because there are two aspects. Utilization of media and the impact on this in order to create knowledge, awareness, and results. Yes. So therefore, this is, I think, is particularly important. Linked, let's say, in a sense, to this very local, let's say, action and empowerment, and even leveraging what exists at local level. I think the project of Vidya is particularly important because this is not only, let's say, targeted at, let's say, indigenous population, local population, but through this also enhancing knowledge, enhancing the way of using varieties and building on this specific knowledge in order to contribute, again, to food security, sustainability of production, and empowering women. Please, Vidya.
Thank you, Stefano. My name is Vidya, and I'm from Indonesia, and my organization is Kemitraan, or Partnership for Governance Reform. So basically, our organization talking about good governance, but today I want to present you about one of our projects working with indigenous community. So as we know, probably indigenous community have a very unique ways of living, and they have this traditional and habits, and they have a very good knowledge in managing natural resources sustainably. So we acknowledge those kind of knowledge, but those kind of knowledge are slowly disappearing because land they own is also gone. So they don't have any more land, not so many, because of those kind of regulation or government imposed that the land is belong to them, and they want to have like a very big infrastructure program, for example, or plantation, and even the private sectors also impose that they can buy the land. So this kind of very important because the land is their identity for indigenous people. Since they were born until they were died, they were entitled to the land. So when the land is gone, so they're losing the land. And this is also part of the problem that facing by the indigenous women, because women have a close relationship with the land. They are working in the forest, they're taking anything in the forest, and they have this land especially for consumption. And not only consumption, if they have more, they will sell it. But that we, in our project, we try to acknowledge those kind of traditional knowledge, that this is the knowledge that are very good and sustainable if we are maintaining about it. But because of the land is losing, that we have two layers of advocacy. The first one, we advocate, we're working with the indigenous people, try to advocate to the government, please give the indigenous people their land, because they are the owning, they are the people that have been there since the beginning. So it's their land, it's not your land. So it's been like we have these issues working with the government because the regulation is very complicated related to tenurial. But the second layer is that we are working with the women. We create a forum and as well as an economic community, economic business unit, a small business unit that consists of like 10 until 20 women. We provide the business unit is not only for economic purposes. It's also serving a social, cultural, and political purposes, because during or in the business unit, we also provide capacity building, such as leadership, and then we introduced how to advocate for yourself. How can you be brave enough to meet the government, because usually they don't have the courage to meet the government. So you have your own voice, so you have to be more aware about your rights, your human rights, your communal rights, and then you have to be aware that you own the land and you have those kind of knowledge that is important to transfer to the young generation. If those land are missing, that you cannot, your identity will lose and your existence will be gone. So that's one of the projects that we are doing now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This aspect of growing and responsibilize, if I may say, I think it's worth underlining, because it's a way not only to do good things, but also to make them sustainable, because there is a sort of acknowledgement of the reason why the responsibility each of the protagonists are playing in the society. Now, to me, in a certain extent, always linked to this dimension, which is very much on impact on food security, on empowerment in a sustainable way. I think that there is a third project that for me particularly important is the one which is dealing with the prevention of losses in the post-harvest. And I think that the project that is presented by Pakriti, I think is particularly important. We saw each other also this morning. I know a bit more, and I understand. I think it's very interesting to share all this in order to show how is not only the production, but also the post-production, how you can maximize the utilization of all this. Please.
Thank you for the question. I think I'd like to begin with a small incident that happened with me in Paris in the April. And I met a farmer at a local farmer's market, and I interacted with her, and she said, oh, I have a very small farm. I just own a tractor and a harvester. And I asked her what's the size of her land, and she said 30 acres. And here I was in the other part of the world working with smallholder farmers who own less than half an acre of land, and they are also smallholder farmers. So firstly, it's important to understand that, you know, the kind of farmers that we work are completely different. They come from an area that ranges from 40 meters to 3,700 meters. They have small land holding, are into multiple production of ginger to a variety of products in that small piece of land. And often, as in the case of every developing country, they're growing the same product in the same harvest season and without scientific knowledge in the technique of production. So post-harvest loss is quite common, especially in rural Nepal. And that also associates with the fact that transportation costs is either extremely expensive to make economic value out of the production, or it's unavailable, or it's really poor infrastructure. We are based in rural setting, unlike any other industrial areas or suburban areas. So we are surrounded by smallholder farmers, which makes it easier for us to actually understand their problems, their strengths, what do they grow best, and how and when do they grow best. And that way, we are a private company, but we run a manufacturing facility where we buy products from over 1,000 smallholder farmers across 8 districts. And how do we add value and how do we curtail post-harvest losses, basically due to the proximity of our factory and the farms that the farmers are located at. And when we are processing, we use a range of dehydration techniques. That means that the products that we manufacture have a longer shelf life and have a higher value in developed world and a place where there is a higher purchasing power. And that way we are able to add value and give a higher remuneration for the same product that other intermediaries who are targeting primary markets would not be able to offer. Additionally, we use a lot of hand processing and a lot of semi-automatic machines and technologies that engage indigenous communities. And what's also interesting to understand about Nepal's rural economy is that there's a lot of outward migration for work. There are youth are traveling to MENA region, they're traveling to Southeast Asia for employment opportunities. So who are left behind are often women and those who have really low financial capital to move somewhere else. And by engaging such women and youth who come from extremely vulnerable financial and socioeconomic background, we are able to create year-round employment while adding value, which obviously helps them to curtail post-harvest loss and economic benefits that are associated with it. Additionally, because we're into processing, we also take in all the ugly fruits that I have been advocating for. Those that never get into primary market, those are often rejected by the end consumers when choosing. Some of them would have cuts, some of them would look really disproportionately ugly and way by and all. That also gives them an additional income to rely on. Yeah, that's pretty much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This, say, is going a bit far than feeding locally, but there is a projection of the international market, which brings me to the project which is presented by Busha, which is working on a very, with the University Mohammed VI in Morocco, on a project to, let's say, upgrade the value chain, essentially. And this is particularly important because I think in the broader experience, we have to look at solutions which are creating competitiveness conditions. And I think that what is done by Busha's project is precisely this, is to valorize a value, to create and to add value to a value chain in order precisely to be more competitive and more open, and doing that in partnership with many. Busha, you can maybe explain more in detail what you are doing.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. What I would like to mention that I'm working for Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. And the word polytechnic is very important because this, multidisciplinary, expertises enable us to come up with a systemic, solution and holistic solution. It's not just about to find techniques or technical solutions, but also to work on mindset, and how we can enable this empowerment, not just economically empowerment, but also a growth mindset, empowerment. And the project, the agricultural value chain upgrade, started in the region of Hamna, which is the location of our first campus. And, we start on the local product, which is barley, And the first step was to gather small holders, small women farmers, and gather them to present to them the value chain. And for us, the value chains started by land cultivation. I mean, but you know, when we start talking to them during 3 days retreat, you know, we understood that the first links of the value chain, it's not, you know, land cultivation, but it's to work on seeds. Because they told us, yes, you are talking about barley from Hamna, from the region, but seeds were mixed with others, and we should work on the genome, you know. And for us, we, you know, we redid our homework and start the value chain from the first link, which is the genetic patrimony to market. And the value chain upgrade is, you know, using another approach, which is the three-sector leadership approach. Because once we co-define the problematics, the issue with, you know, the users, with the target, we start to co-construct the solution. But to co-construct the solution, we brought around the table private sector, public sector, you know, and I mean, civil society or third sector. And, you know, this enables us to draw the stakeholders mapping and also the interests of stakeholders mapping. Because if you miss this link, you know, I think the failure is ensured. Why? Because if you can't, federate all people around the same objective, but also satisfying their interests, for sure it will be the failure. And we start with our first, product, a local product, which is barley, and after this it was copper in another city, Safi, on Atlantic Ocean. And, and why I'm talking about copper in Safi, barley in Hamna, roses in Khalat Muguna, and also baobab in Senegal, you know, butter chia in Ivory Coast, because for us it's crucial to focus on local product. Why? To use, the expertise of local communities, local women, and also to, to capitalize on the know-how of the communities. And, to capitalize on know-how and expertise, this, build like a trust and make those women like more confident because, like you are valorizing their know-how. And this enabled them to be, more involved in the project, more involved, psychologically and also economically. Because we have many stories. I think we have the stories just of 3 women in Safi, prior to our initiatives, they worked, or they did, hard work, hard task, which is to collect coppers from fields. And, once they collected the coppers, their husbands, sell the product and they put the money in their pockets, And for those, for these women, it was like living in a hell, because it's the vicious circle. But what we've done with them is we gather them and, accompany them and train them to be organized into a cooperative. And this cooperative enabled them to master the whole value chain, from genetic patrimony to sell the product. And you can't imagine the impact on their lives. It was magical. They changed their lives. And we are very proud because we initiate a new cycle, of women empowerment, because there's women, gaining money. And this enabled them to, support their young girls to continue and encourage them to continue their studies. And, this enable not just upgrading the agricultural value chain, but upgrade their lives.
Thank you very much. And also to underline, let's say, this aspect of what is called, in my view, in a bad way, but just to understand each other, South-South, in the sense that there is the technology which is developed, which is tested, starting from Morocco, but then building that together in other sub-Saharan countries. In this case, like you referred to Senegal or Mali, these are particularly important. So it's also a way of doing things and sharing. So, from this point of view, maybe I would like to pass to Martin the project that La Caixa is promoting, which is innovation, which is quality. So it's not only quantitative and empowering, but let's say with this specific characterization of investing on innovation, in quality of this empowerment and also the product. Maybe Martin, if you can explain a bit what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefano. I'm Marta Solsona from La Caixa Foundation. It's a Spanish organization based in Barcelona that has more than 100 years of history. It came from a savings bank, no? From the very beginning, one of the focus of our organization is to promote opportunities for everybody, and especially for those that live in more vulnerable conditions. No? And since 1997, we have programs of international cooperation for development, mainly focused on socioeconomic development and focused in rural areas. We supported previously many projects. We had I can say, a very classical call for proposals, and we selected projects from many countries. But we realized after 10 years of having this program that these projects were like silos, no? Each one disconnected from the other, no? And we did, for example, an evaluation at the end of the project. It was fine, no? A lot of learnings, but the project was finished, no? Then we changed. We decided to change in 2017, and we started a new program, the Work for Progress program, which wants to promote employment, quality employment for women and youth. And we work in 3 countries, India, Mozambique, and Peru. But in these countries, which I know are very far one from the other, but we work in very specific regions, no? And for long term. And the idea is to promote the collaboration networks between different actors. Civil society organizations, community organizations are the base, no, of the program, but also universities, local universities, also the private sector, private companies that work at these regions, and financial institutions, and also the governments, the local governments, no? And we do an iterative process of listening to the needs of the communities in terms of job creation. We allocate funds for this process of diagnosis because we realize that there are not a lot of funders that put funds on the diagnosis, no? And then the project sometimes doesn't work because this is the first step, no? A deep listening of the needs and narratives of the communities. And then we co-create solutions together with the communities and the other actors of the ecosystem. So the people from the communities are involved from the very beginning to the design of the strategy, no? And then we put these solutions in practice in small size, no? Like prototypes, and test the feasibility. And those prototypes, those solutions that shows the most probability of success, then we accelerate. All this process has what we call a developmental evaluation, no? Is evaluate for learning and for decision making because we are operating in very complex contexts, you know, no? And sometimes things change, no? And there are many, the weather, the climate change, conflicts, and so on. So we have to adapt the strategy, no, to the changes, so to this complexity of the context, no, and most of the beneficiaries or the participants of the project are of the program are small farmers, like the ones that they have less than one hectare or less than that, no? They produce, and we help them through the community organizations, to the production, also transformation of products, and marketing and selling these products. Also to organize themselves in cooperatives, no, or collective organizations. And now we are working more and more on other services that can help the ecosystem, no, in a second level, no. And for example, I will put a specific example, because one of the needs that we detected, no, in the 3 countries where we work, and now we are starting in Colombia, but in the 3 countries, is the need to access to credit. Women in the rural field, in the rural areas, need to access to credit, to buy seeds, to buy tools for work, and so on. But the banks, the regular banks, don't give credit because it's very risky. And for most of them, it's the first time they go to a bank, no? So we work together with, in Mozambique, in Cabo Delgado, a region north in Mozambique, we work with a financial institution, GAPI Sociedad de Investimentos. We develop a guarantee fund. It's a fund that gives the security to the bank that if these farmers can return the loan, they at least will have this to recover, no, the loan. So this makes the product more risky, no, from the point of view of the financial institution. But also it's very important, we realized after prototyping for the first time this guarantee fund, that is very important, the technical assistance, no? So it has 3 components: technical assistance, the assistance with the community, with the civil society organizations, then the guarantee fund that is given by La Caixa Foundation, and the credits delivered by GAPI Sociedad de Investimentos, and it worked really, really well, no? And for these women, it was the first time that they go to a bank, open an account, and receive the credit. And well, this is a first overview of the program, then I will be happy to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. By the way, in Cabo Delgado, this kind of activity has also another added value, which is to recreate certain social cohesion in an area where terrorism, in fact,
it's a very difficult reason.
Weakened and has fractured also the society. So this is particularly important. Now, last project, Fraser, the power of doing that together, in a sense, creating collective experiences in order to, let's say, create a stronger identity, a stronger action. So please, can you explain your...
Yes, thank you. I mean, so to give a bit of a background, I mean, for many years, for over a decade, we've been working in the sort of Gangetic Plains, eastern states of India, so Bihar and West Bengal, and the lowland belt of Nepal. And this is an area where there's really extreme inequality due to the historic zamindari system. This is the old colonial era land administration system. So you've got big landlords, you've also got very many small fragmented farms. And this is also an area which is very vulnerable to climate change. They're very weak agricultural markets. It's one of the poorest, one of the highest area of concentrated poverty in the world, actually, within that area. And one of the problems is that there's a lot of agricultural interventions by government, by NGOs, and it all involves, you know, high-level technology. Technology has come on a huge way in terms of helping farmers adapt to climate change, helping farmers, you know, adapt to production constraints. But the problem is because most farmers have very marginal plots, like less than 0.5 hectares or, you know, 0.2 hectare, or also plots which are often rented from landlords in different locations. There's no way they can actually benefit. So what happens is that they have a leader farmer approach. They go to a rich farmer and then he showcases the technology, and then the idea is that it trickles down and everyone else will pick it up. It was very clear from our research that this was not working, this was not happening in reality, and we really needed a much more radical, transformative approach to address these constraints. So that was why we came up with the solution, but actually we need to collectivize the farms. We need to actually take these small units of production and consolidate them. And now we're not talking about like Soviet-style collectives, which were big, bureaucratic, top-down. We're talking about very small, democratic units of production of maybe 5 to 10 households. And the idea is that they pool their labor, they pool their land together to form a contiguous area, they pool their capital and resources, and any profit and output is shared. And this has been, so far, the achievements have sort of surpassed our expectations. We've got economies of scale now because, they can now make use of, they can pool their investments, they can get access to higher value technology, or they can use, as a group, they can apply to the government for certain facilities to access high value technology. Irrigation is much more practical because once you're farming a contiguous area of land, a single plot, then you don't, then one tube well can be installed for the whole group, and all that land can be irrigated simultaneously. Also mechanization, so uses of tractors that you were talking about, which are not feasible in a very small marginal plots, but they're feasible if you have a big single area which is pooled amongst many farmers. But I think also the women farmers themselves can also directly bring in new technology. So for example, we introduced some solar pumping innovations. Usually these would go to the rich farmer because it's not feasible for a smallholder with 0.2 hectare, but now these can go directly to the groups. So new interventions that are brought in can directly go to the groups. And they can be the ones. So now the rich farmers are learning from our women-led collectives. So it's sort of turning the whole model on its head, the traditional extension model. And also these women's groups, they now have bargaining power. They're able to negotiate with landlords to lower the rent. They're able to collectively try to mobilize to get access to government services, which previously were not available. Dun my colleague here, has been doing implementation on the ground. He can also, if you have any questions, you can also talk to him because he's got the really good practical knowledge on the day-to-day running of these collectives. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's a way to make it possible, to allow individuals, small group, which taken alone are vulnerable, but the power of being all together can give them a new boost, and creating also a form of solidarity, because this is solidarity and mutual cooperation essentially, which means also mutual trust. So there's all elements which are composing, a way where women. And the fact that all this is done by women is the center of gravity. We go back to the title of our conversation of today. Is this women? Now, I would like now to turn to Ting Ting, because she's not bringing a project, but she's bringing huge experience in a sense. In particular, in this specificity of the role of women in contributing to agriculture, many other sectors, but to agriculture in this case, to do it better, to do it more sustainable, and to do that in a way which is also, let's say, creating a new society, if I may say that this way. So in the light of the 6 projects that you have also listened to and you have analyzed a bit, and your experience, what is, let's say, the picture that you can take in order to describe even more, this specificity and added value of women in agriculture, in production, in sustainability? Please, Ting Ting.
Thank you, Stefano. My name is Ting Ting. I'm from China, and I work for a company called Kuaishou. It's an internet company based in China with over 1 billion users. People in China often say that it's a place people can record and share life stories there, and you can see everyday lives on our platform. After listening to all the experience sharing, I think that you did a very good job and really valuable. And I think you all believe that attention is one of the most important resources in this world today. But take a look around. The attention resources are always being focused on the majorities and the KOLs. And where the majority of the common people are being neglected, not to mention the vulnerable groups. And that's why our company is trying to bridge the attention gap at this digital age, and empowering individuals to express themselves and to gain recognition through the digital technology, increasing connections and understanding and imagination among people, and to enhance their sense of accomplishment and happiness. But how does this happen, especially in the rural areas? maybe, I think 5 years ago, in 2018, we launched a program called Happy Village Strategy. We focus on exploring innovative models to teach people how to record and how to share lives on the internet. And also, we teach them how to use short videos and live streaming to drive rural revitalization. We invested 65 million euro worth of internet traffic to increase the visibility of people, of the goods, and the scenery. And in the past years, among our work, we observed that agriculture involves money supply and relationship change. If a woman in village could have more power, and it will benefit more about on her children, her family, her relatives, and even the whole village or the whole industry chain. So after recognizing the pivotal role of women, we are committed to supporting women in rural areas. So, and from our perspective, with women's power, we are promoting a kind of new agriculture ecosystem. In other words, it's part of digitizing agriculture. And in this regard, I think we need to involve more powers and more parties. So fortunately, we, in 2020, we signed a significant strategic partnership with UNWF program to pursue the food program's sustainable development goals together. And we believe together we are stronger. And we also consider gender equality an essential value on our platform. And also, I'd like to share your story. The name of the user is 水稻一朵. She's a lady from Heilongjiang province in China. I'd like to show you how our platform's equality value can make a difference to lives of women in the countryside. And this lady, she is a technical promoter for a local rice research institute. In the 6 years before, in 2017, she began to use short videos and live streaming to teach farmers how to plant their rice and to explain the causes of the plant disasters, which resulted from the weather condition, or maybe a bigger topic, the climate change. And basically, she talks about everything related to the rice. And in the past 6 years, she has posted 644 videos and a total live streaming time of for 40,000 hours. And her followers can easily understand the technology because of her excellent communication skills. And she helped countless farmers. And gradually, she has over 1 million followers, and she shares experience with 200,000 farmers each year. And she once said, every time a farmer gets what he really needs from me, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, so, and we have many more users like her on our platform. Gender equality, women's power, and interpersonal knowledge sharing could help to promote new opportunities and to help women to have more opportunity to participate in the agriculture and food security. And we also support women users through more internet traffic and we also cooperate with UN Women to promote she power and gender equality. I believe that no one should be ignored, especially the women from the rural areas. Their voice should be amplified, not to be ignored. And yeah, that's to say we leave no one behind. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think this is, in a sense, covering several of the aspects which have been underlined and outlined in each project. Now, we have 15 minutes. I would like first to ask if there are some questions from the audience, in order to allow also the project promoters to, let's say, answer also. Please. I don't know if it works, but maybe. Coming.
So I'm Nadia.
It's okay.
So I'm from UMCSP, France, and we are really proud about what Bushra did within the Social Innovation Lab and what she will do. Your experiences are such inspiring from Sierra Leone, from Indonesia, from Keisha Foundation, from Nepal. And I have just a little question about how to measure the achievements. You know, we haven't a lot of indicators. We have the Women Empowerment in Agriculture Index, which was created by IFPRI and USAID. And we have also the randomized approach by Esther Duflo. But how to be sure that these indicators will give a realistic point of view of the achievements? Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Other questions, just to take maybe a few? If not, Busha, please.
So how to measure, achievements? For us, when we launch the initiative or the project and start working on a project, we put the KPIs and KVIs, key performance indicators and key value indicators. We have a data cell within Social Innovation Lab with data analysts because we are working on diagnosis, focus group, etc. And we analyze data in order to have graphs, have analysis about how many people are involved in the project. What is the quality of crops? Was improved, and many other data. And also for us is very important the key value indicators. How we can move women from assistance oriented mindset to entrepreneurial mindset, How? Because during focus group with people, as I've mentioned, we are Mohammed VI Polytechnic University, and we have people working in anthropology, psychology, and we did focus group too, and also in behavior, sciences we have and this enables us also to measure how, the impact on on mindset and on growth mindset and on this paradigm shift.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Yeah, the question is really relevant. I think it's very important. No, how do we measure achievements, are also how we share this knowledge, Because when you are evaluating a program with an impact evaluation, we did some experimental impact evaluations, for example, in Peru, comparing communities that are under the Work for Progress program and other communities that not, and the results were quite good. But in fact, we have a lot of information or data, quantitative data, that can illustrate, the achievements of the program. But I think that it's very important also to share all this knowledge, because all these projects, all these programs are also about knowledge generation, And in not only in spaces like this one, like the Paris Peace Forum, where we can exchange among the different organizations, but also with the communities and the ecosystem that we support themselves, And for this reason, we also organize events, in the different countries where we work, annual events where we put together the communities where we work, the different actors and the governments in order to share the knowledge and also establish new linkages and connections, you know, with to among everybody do a step forward. No, so I think that evaluation and knowledge generation are really linked and are very important. Yes.
Thank you very much. Others want to add something to this point of, please, Fraser.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, thanks. I've looked at Women Empowerment Index in agriculture a lot. I think it's got its benefits, but I think it really needs to be supplemented with kind of really in-depth grassroots knowledge, you know, qualitative information about to actually understand. You know, it can work in two ways. You know, the metrics may show that profitability is not that great, for example, of an intervention, yet the actual empowerment in terms of confidence and learning is really strong. Likewise, something may look very good on practice, but actually when you look at, you know, whether it's filtered down to everyone, or, you know, whether the process has been successful, whether women are actually learning, or this is sustainable in the long term, they may be questionable. So I think it needs to be a mixed, multidisciplinary understanding, or approach at least. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other observations or other questions? Please, we have still 9 minutes, we can manage. Yeah?
May I just add one thing related to knowledge? Yes, it's a crucial part, I think, of dissemination, because we are working on knowledge such as case studies, use studies, you know, policy papers, and the most important one is the policy note, because the policy note enables us to share with with government, with the ministries, in order to orient sometimes. This is why I talked about the three-sector leadership, to orient them when they are putting strategies. You know, taking into account, you know, it's like what I can call the shared governance. You know, the coordination between the bottom up and the top down, and also we promote the participative research, because participative research is very important. It's research. I mean, the topic of the research come from the ground and from the field, and I can just share you that we come up within UM6P with new concepts, you know, which could serve the global south.
Good, thank you. Maybe in order to utilize these 7 minutes and something which is happening, and you are free, of course, to elaborate further on that, but I would like to ask each of you what has been and what is the biggest obstacle, the biggest problem that you are encountering. Because, you know, description, you know, the tendency, all the good, but there are also problems, of course, that you can have. Please.
Okay, for us, actually, in terms of this specific project in fish farming, one of the biggest obstacles is the limited knowledge in the use of advanced machinery, because we're dealing with local people who have very limited education on these issues. So letting them utilize the technology that's available is for us a big obstacle, because it will eventually take some time for them to understand and then, put it into practice and see the results that we're hoping for. And of course, it's not new to other areas, but for us, it's one major obstacle, because our road network in where we come from is really, really challenging. To get to the last mile, you have to sit on a motorbike, because you get to a point where you have to get off the vehicle and sit on a motorbike and go to these places. So imagine, let's say they've harvested the fish and they want to take it to the market. You have to carry the basket on your head on a motorbike, to the market. So some of these challenges really are, preventing us to reach that goal we want to go. But irrespective of that, we are not, looking at the challenge, but we're looking at the solution it will bring, because we have the willingness from the community people. They want to see this happen. They have the knowledge and they want to take it to the next level. So electricity is also a big challenge, talking about last mile community. Even the entire country is struggling with electricity. Let's talk about last mile communities. But we are looking at other avenues where we can use, green energy and see how we can enhance these technologies to promote, the programs we're working on. So maybe I can give opportunity to others to elaborate, but I'm sure it's the same challenges, especially when we work in rural communities.
Thank you very much. Very clear, changing mindset to utilize technology and the infrastructure, the environment in which you're working. Vidya, what's your biggest problem that you have?
It's similar to Alina, I think, because we are working with indigenous communities. So most of them are living in a very remote areas. Like in Indonesia, it takes like 5 hours to go there by motorcycle, and then we continue to walk, or crossing the sea and in 10 hours by a boat, kind of that. But I think our biggest challenge is like, I agree that we have to change of mind is very important. In our identification at the first of the project, we did like theory of change, and then we identified who are the excluder of these indigenous people. And we found out that it turns out that the government also have like they are the main excluder of the indigenous people, because like in their mindset, they already have the stigma of the indigenous people, that because they are living in a very far away, they already have the mindset about indigenous people. And for example, they don't educate it well, they are lazy, they are stupid, for example, just to name a few. That's why they don't want to get in touch with them. So to change those kind of mindset of the government and also the people living around the indigenous people are very important. And it took some time for us to find a good strategy how to like provide a raising awareness about the issue of indigenous community. And the second one, I think it's related to when we are working with the community, we have to realize we need to study first who are they, what they are doing. So we cannot like make a program without talking with them. So there need data. We did research before coming to them so that they will come us. So the project probably when we are working with indigenous people, it takes a lot of time. It takes patience. It takes like courage and as well as strength probably. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So indigenous people also a bit of stigma,
yes.
On this. Yeah? Prakriti, please.
Our problem is basically of the market that the private sector often faces. We work with smallholder farmers, so over the years we have come to become their marketplace for their produce, for the goods and the bad, but we are also a startup. We are also looking for a stable market, In order for them to be sustainable, in order for them to have a reliable income, we also should be able to position our product in the similar way. And one of the biggest challenges, certifications. I guess like working with smallholder farmers, it's very hard for us to get internationally accredited certifications. It's also hard because A, it's geographically difficult, B, it's financially really taxing for small companies who are driven by social impact and social cause. And being a private company, it's harder for us to have access to grants and funding in order to be able to sustainable and to extend our reach in terms of social impact. Finally, I think working with smallholder farmers, finding the right buyers, as a, aggregating them, operational challenges, these are all something that I believe that, private sector is capable of handling, to make sure that, our quality is at par with international buyers or domestic buyers. But we need a community of consumers who are willing to accept that hand-done things, willing to accept that, things that are coming from far-fetched are not perfect, like those that are manufactured and done in a very smooth operational areas. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have 1 minute, so telegraphic. Pusha, biggest obstacle.
Two main obstacles. To remove the complex, it's not for me, I'm not able to, related to artificial intelligence, technology, etc. The second one is the negative masculinity.
you know.
Very clear and very correct. Marta.
Yeah, very quickly, I think that more than an obstacle is a challenge to build confidence, to build trust among the different actors that are working in the ecosystem.
Very clear, very to the point. Fraser.
I think, yeah, like Vidya will probably agree, these fundamental problems are structural, issues to do with land distribution, state, indigenous relations. These are the real issues which have to be addressed before there can be any really transformative change. Until we address those, these political hot potato issues that nobody wants to touch is going to be very challenging in the long run.
Thank you very much. Cinti.
I think the most difficult questions we conquer is the lack of understanding, the understanding among people, and maybe the understanding between individuals and our platform. So I think the visibility is very, very important. So we empower people, we empower individuals to express themselves and to gain recognition, and this will enhance people's understanding and connection. And I think that, and also that's why we are sitting here and to talk and to discuss and to share experience, and this will inspire each other. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to everybody. Now time is over. Simply to say that, first, thank you for the projects, because they are a real evidence of the fact that it's not only, let's say, a politically correct formula. They want to say that empowering women can help, etc., etc. Because, in fact, in this way, you are promoting and you are making possible, the sustainability of a new agriculture for everybody, which is improving also the life of everybody, not only women. Women are a factor of transformation. So therefore, I think that this is particularly important, which we can take out from this conversation, the projects, but also a contribution to the very purpose of the Paris Peace Forum, to innovate in a sense and to have some formula for governing complex problems in a different way. So thank you to everybody. I wish you all the best for your projects, and maybe let's stay together to share information, as it has been said. Thank you very much.